Okay, so I want to show you a couple of half hexie projects, and then I'm going to give you a little bit more information on doing this table runner that we have in front. So the half hexies come in a 10-inch, this 7.5 inch, and the 5-inch, and they have that get a grip material. Let's talk about why it's a half hexie instead of a hexie. This is a hexagon. I've got a seam in the middle, so it's a half hexie, but imagine there's no seam. If we were to piece a hexagon to a hexagon to a hexagon, we have what we call the Y seam. And a lot of people know this as the dreaded Y seam. We don't want the dreaded Y seam. Yes, I can do the Y seam, but it takes more time, and sometimes they don't always match up perfectly. So instead, with a half a hexie, we're piecing this half hexie to this half hexie, to this half hexie, to this half hexie. When you sew a row to a row to a row to a row, it's simple strip piecing. It's faster, it's easier, and it's better too. It's more consistent. You can do the hexagon if you want, but the template has built in a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. So you have a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch over here. So if you were going to do a full hexagon with the templates, then you'd want to, when you put your fabric on the fold, come in a 1/4 of an inch here. That will take care of this. I think it's 1/2 of an inch actually. I'll put it on the screen because I can't remember what I have built in. I think it's 1/2 of an inch. So you'll have a 1/2 of an inch or a 1/4 inch on one side, a 1/4 inch on the other side. That way that'll give you a true hexagon shape with the 1/4 inch seam built in all along here. So anyway, this is the half hexie. The half hexie makes some really cool projects. So this is a pillow. On one side I have the half hexie, and on the other side I have the tumbler. The tumbler shape is one of those shapes that it's just a great fast, easy project. Basically just a 4-sided block, but the top's narrower than the bottom. So here's another project. This can be an iPad case, one of the mini iPads. It can be a makeup case or whatever. So again, half hexies here, half hexies here. You can tell I like this fabric a lot. The flower, I've got a video on how to do that flower. So if you are interested in doing the flower, go watch my video. You're burning fabric. So that's a great project. Here's another project. This can be whatever kind of case, an iPad case, laptop case, whatever. So again, half hexies. And then I have the table runner. The table runner, this table runner is a little bit different than this table runner that we're talking about. I have written directions on this. Maybe someday I'll do a video. But this is a raw edge piece. You can see this has a raw edge, this has a raw edge. And when we look at this, in my directions, I talk about layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. Layer 1 basically is going to be the first layer. This fabric, the blue sewn to the brown sewn to the brown sewn to the green pieced to this green pieced to the blue. You'll sew a row, sewn to a row, sewn to a row. Once you do that, then we'll work on layer 2. Layer 2, this green, your top stitching basically along here, top stitching here, top stitching this piece here, top stitching this piece here, top stitching, etc. Then you work on layer 3. Layer 3, layer 3, layer 3, layer 3. What's nice about this is instead of using the same fabrics here, you can do a contrasting fabric as we've done in this table runner. And that's on the front side. On the back side, we've just used a rectangle shape that's here, and you can see all that top stitching that's been done here. So basically you have your quilted layer, your backing, your batting, and then your top fabric here. In my directions, I'll show you 3 different ways to finish off these edges here. So I've got written directions for that. All right, so now we're going to talk about the table runner. That's the Christmas table runner. So the table runner, I've got this table runner done in 4 half hexies here. There's 4 over here. You can see I don't have this one pieced together. And we'll take a look at this in just a second, but we would sew these together and then piece the left side to the right side. And if you wanted to make this longer, you could go longer, as many as you want, or you can make it shorter, totally up to you. And then the star is going to be fused on top of that. So let's take a look at what we've done with this. We're going to start out with the 10-inch. The 10-inch doesn't seem like it's that big, but it definitely is a 10-inch. And I'm using fabric that's not Christmas, just so you can see. But again, that get a grip material grabs. When I go to cut, I'm going to go ahead and cut, depending on how big this table runner is. It might be 3 on the left, 3 on the right, 4 or 5, however many you do it. But whatever number it is, you're going to double that. So we're going to go ahead and cut. Turn the template and cut, turn the template and cut and turn the template. I like to, if I'm working on a project like this, I like to start with a smaller rectangle to start with. So I've got, I think 4 is what I cut here, and then I have 4 more. So you'd go ahead and cut all of those pieces. We're going to do the same thing. This would be this green here. We're going to do the same thing with a white or a cream, basically this. But what we're going to do a little differently is cut these in half. So the new hexagons have an etch mark here and an etch mark here. If you have the template already and it doesn't have the etch, then basically what you're going to do is put it on your mat, and it's 10.5 inches, so we're going to look at 5 1/4. And that 5 1/4 mark right here would be that 5 1/4. We'll just put a metallic Sharpie mark and a metallic Sharpie mark. That's going to allow me to, when I go to cut, that'll tell me where I cut in the middle. So the easiest way to do it, if you don't want to do that, is just fold your fabrics in half, give it a little bit of a finger press, and you can use the Half Hexie to make that cut, and you would just cut that in half. So you'll cut each of those in half, and that's what we have here. So we're going to take those pieces, and we're basically going to be piecing together the left side, the right side. Let's grab one of these here. We're going to piece this together here, and then we'll piece the other one together over here. And you've got to make sure when you do that, notice what I just did there? We've got to make sure it's in the right direction, so it needs to be going this way. I also don't have my glasses on, so I'm not sure. This fabric has a right side and a wrong side. Let's take a look. All right, and I can see here, that's the right side here, and this is the right side. So we're going to flop this over, and this would be pieced like this. And then this one would be pieced over here like this. So when we piece this, what we're going to look at is the dog ears. The little dog ear, this part right here, I want that to be the same as this dog ear here. And when I piece this, I don't use straight pins because it's just a little piece that we're doing, and straight pins might end up bunching the fabric. So we would stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance from here all the way down to here. You'd line up those edges, and we would stitch. You're going to stitch that side, and then you're going to place this over here and do the same thing. That turns into this that we have right here. What I like to do with this is give it a good press first. We're going to press down like this, and then with your iron you're going to press basically like this. Pressing this way first with the iron just kind of sets that in place, and then when you were with your iron that just locks that down. And you'll do the dark side or the light side in basically this way so we don't have that green showing. Once you piece that, then you've got your pieces that we're going to piece together. Let me grab my 3 piece over here. And this is a little bit different than any of the projects that I've done before. That gives me my hexagon. If we brought that in with our 1/4 inch seam allowance, we'd see a hexagon. But we don't want to go that way. We want to go this way to give us that Christmas tree look. So basically we'd be at the sewing machine. And again, I don't use straight pins here, but we would piece this edge, line those up, and we would piece that along. And what that's going to give me is my left side and then my right side. Once you've got those done, then you're going to piece this section to this section. So we would bring this over, you'd go to your sewing machine, line up your edges, and stitch this along here. Once you've got that stitched, then we're going to print out the star. Now the star you can get online in a bunch of different places, and I'll have one posted on my website for you. This is a star that was found from coloringcastle.com. I'll have a link to that, and I'll also find another star too for you. You're going to use some kind of a fusible on the back of this, so you'll place that on your fabric first and then basically trace this design out and then cut that out. If you use freezer paper, you can iron that on instead of having to do the tracing. You can print this on freezer paper through your printer of your computer and then just iron that on, and then you can cut that right out. And what that'll allow you to do is place this on. Now you can place this here where the points are basically on that seam, or you can do it like this. I like the points sticking out like that. And we're basically just going to top stitch that and then do some kind of a finish. You can do a nice zigzag, you can do a buttonhole stitch. There's a bunch of different ways that you can finish off. You can do the fusible on there. If you've got that fusible on the back, then you can just press it. I do like to do some kind of a top stitching to finish that off. All right, so let's talk about doing the batting and the backing. There are a bunch of different ways you can finish off your project. So imagine I've got batting, And we're going to place that on top. We've got our batting, and then you can bring this over and do that finish where basically this comes up. Let's grab here. And we're basically going to use the backing as a sashing or as a border. And there are directions online, all kinds of videos that'll show you how to do that. Or you can do the traditional method where you're doing your batting and then stitch all your layers together and then square this off, add a sashing or add a binding, however you want to finish it. So that gives you the table runner. I'll have written directions for you on that as well, so you can go look on my website, winterdesigns.com/extras, to see directions for this. I have more pictures and those kinds of things for you. So if you have any questions on that, you can email me. You'll see how to contact me on that. And I'd love to see projects that you do with the Half Hexies. So put it on my Facebook or on my website. So thanks for watching.